Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakaha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. All right, the would-be judges, the 144,000. All right, 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, the tabernacle of David, right, which are to be the government, the everlasting government set up here on earth. The kingdom of heaven will be here on earth, as it tells you in Revelation. All right, it's not going to be somewhere up in the clouds, which is a fraudulent lie taught by Christianism. All right, the 12 tribes of Israel will be the ruling class people. And the 144,000 judges, Israelite men, shall be the ruling government here on earth. All right. Under the authority of King David. And King David will be under the authority of who the world fraudulently and falsely call JC. All right. His name is Yahweh Shai. Always was, always will be. All right. And to the rest of the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, among the heathen nations that have the appearance of the heathen nations. Right? This is not a black only thing. The Israelites are scattered and will be gathered up upon the return of the Lord. And to the few Akwaf, meaning the sisters that are listening and learning to you, I say shalom. This is a video, a very touchy subject, because it speaks the truth that Apostle Ramlab sent me this morning. And I've been pondering all day if I was going to do this lesson or a couple more. So much information came in. But this, I just got hot off the presses, straight from my beloved April O'Neil, the journalist on the spot. I'm very aware of this information. And I'm going to read this meme that someone put up. All right. And it says, black slaves in America were writing in Hebrew. Well, they were writing in actually the ancient Hebrew on these pews in this church in 1777. All right. And it says, well, when modern Hebrew, which is spoken by Ashkenazis, didn't even exist until 1881. I want you to ponder on that. All right. Because they like to, try to discredit the fact that these people are Hebrews. But these people who were supposedly, according to the lie, which is white superiority, were ignorant and unable to learn and all these other things. But they were writing on the pews in the church, all right, the ancient Hebrew. The Ashkenazi Jews, or what's his name, Eliezer ben Yehudi, attached the Yiddish, to the Hebrew characters of the Assyrian script Hebrew. He attached the German, Yiddish, Slavic language to that. As a matter of fact, let's get the definition of Yiddish. Matter of fact, I could take that and make that a part of the receipts now that I'm thinking about it. So let's do that now. Let's go ahead and add that to the receipts folder, which we're going to now. Just give me a second to move to evidence folder. There we go. So now let's go to this evidence folder and find the definition of Yiddish. And then I'm going to play. You can see the name of the video. I highly suggest that you go and watch it. This video will get scrubbed and eventually mine, man. I'm going to try to do this very carefully and you choose my words, but it doesn't matter what, the truth is offensive to lies, they'll call it semantics, when the most anti-semantic thing is them perpetrating the fraud that they do. All right. But, considering the images you just saw, how the evidence of these slaves writing Hebrew on the pews in these churches from 1777, And it wasn't until almost 100 years later that the Ashkenazi converts began using the new school, the Assyrian script, which they attached to their language. And this was their language. Yiddish was an and this is from the Winston Simplified Dictionary Encyclopedia Dictionary with biblical references. But it reads, hold on, Yiddish, Judish, Jayish, I hate that word, a kind of mixed German and Hebrew language because it's actually Slavic too, so it's German and Slavic. The Oxford, which I'm gonna go ahead and get that Oxford and add it to the receipts too, now that I know how to get that information out of the Oxford. But it says a German and Hebrew language spoken by the Jays and written or printed in Hebrew characters. All right. So they're speaking a whole nother language, but they're writing it in Hebrew characters to perpetrate the fraud that they are the people of the Lord. Now let's read a scripture. All right. Which is Zechariah 9 and 6. Wow. And this is incorrect. And they changed it. But 2x, let's see. I just wanted to read. I was reading something in Hebrew. I looked up a particular word and spoke out loud. I thought out loud. So Salakia. But this is how it reads. But this is Zechariah 9 and 6. And it reads, and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. Now, an adjective for bastard is the word false, the word fraudulent, and phony. Okay? So it's literally telling you that there are fraudulent people in the land of Israel. All right? And then you have, this scripture here. I'll read one more, because there's quite a few that come to mind after watching this video. And I'm wondering if this young man, or this man, he's not young anymore. He would actually be older than me because he was already an adult, when this video was made. He was well into his late 20s, early 30s at the time. And when he wrote this book. So this is an interview of him on the news about a book he wrote, and then his parents complaining, and his mother just wanted to disown him. Basically, he told the truth, and it proves the victim-villain lie. Okay? Oh, no wonder. I'm in the wrong Bible app. That's why I couldn't find what I was looking for. So, Salakia, I need to go to the actual. There we go. KJV. So I'm like, where's these scriptures at? But here we go. This is Sirach 10 and 8. And it says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So going back to those, to the receipt folder. Did I make it a part of the receipts yet? I haven't. All right. Yeah, I haven't put it in there yet. There it is. Let's make that a part of the receipts now. But here we go. We just read about how the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And here is a book that was written by this Yiddish author, and it's called The Transfer Agreement, the untold story, well, I won't say much more. I'm wondering if I Google this, will this even pop up? Will this book even pop up? I got a feeling that it won't. All right. But here we go.
We're about to watch has been banned by more than 12 countries around the world. It has been called the most censored. The video that you're about to watch has been banned by more than 12 countries around the world. It has been called the most censored piece of news ever created. It appeared on the mainstream news Channel 5 in 1984. And since that time, it has been censored to oblivion because the powers that be don't want the public to know about this. They want to keep this information a secret, so they banned it, so they censored it, and they tried to delete it from existence. However, I found a copy. And not only did I find a copy, I remastered that copy. The audio was really terrible, and it was really hard to understand everything, so I spent a lot of time remastering the audio and cleaning things up so that you may understand what they're talking about. Now, in all likelihood, this video might get banned too, so before that happens, make sure you share this on social media. Share this with your friends and family. Add a comment and hit that like button, because the more people who see this before it gets deleted again, the more minds might be woken up to the reality that we live in.
And I actually found it. The Transfer Agreement, the dramatic Zionist rescue of the Jays from the Third Reich to Jayist Palestine by Edwin Black. Okay, a New York Times bestseller. So you can actually still get this book. I'm shocked. All right. They might be asking a ridiculous price for it, though. It's 157 pages. So it's a short read.
Live on Channel 5, this is the 10 o'clock news with Deborah Norville.
Coming out revealing secret negotiation between the Nazis and the Zionists in 1933, which allowed German Jews and their assets to go to Palestine. Rich Samuels joins us tonight with the story of the controversy behind the book and the author's struggle to write it. Rich?
Deborah, with the rise of Adolf Hitler to power in the spring of 1933, the Jews of the world were faced with a dilemma. They could raise a cry of protest, a cry few would heed, or they could make a deal with Hitler, a deal that would bring a step closer to their dream of an independent Jewish state. The choice they made was difficult and agonizing. This new book describes that choice. The book is called The Transfer Agreement. This is Israel a few days ago, the season of Passover. And this is Germany 51 years ago, the blossoming of Adolf Hitler's springtime. A key factor in the vitality of today's Israel, the book's author argues, was an agreement reached in 1933 between a group of Zionists and the man who would later try to kill every living Jew.
It turns out that there are two fundamental ways of looking at the world.
Shut up.
The great irony is that Adolf Hitler became the chief economic sponsor of the state of Israel.
So he became the chief economic sponsor of the state of Israel. Yet he, the math is not mathing. Okay? I'm not going to say much more. But just like 9/11, if you believe that 9/11, the official narrative of 9/11 has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. Okay? So I'm not gonna, and this is a short video, and I don't even want to play much more of it because it's just too. So this is on End Time Production, so he might mess around, get his channel struck. Who knows? But that's gonna lead me to one of my favorite scriptures. This is Psalm 64:8 to the max. What will possess him? Now, and then you'll understand if you watch the video why his parents were so upset, because they were so-called, survivors of a particular event that the math don't math on. You know, a particular event where they got triangles and rectangles trying to put them in circles. You know, nothing's adding up. So, and let's go to Ezekiel 36 and 2. And it reads, "Thus saith the Lord power, because the enemy has said against you, Aha! Even the ancient high places are ours in possession." Jumping down to verse 5. "Therefore thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey." So the real Israelites have been casted out for a prey. And the Bible tells you that Idumeans would be in there in the last days, in the end of days. An Idumean is the Greek way of saying the Edomites. All right. And even more so Amalek, because they're the chief house. All the rest of the Edomites have to bend the knee to them, or have been forced to. Many of them are very angry with Amalek, their own people. But, once again, the math is not mathing. The T's are not crossed and the I's are not dotted. And somebody's got some, how did Ricky Ricardo say? Lucy, you got some explaining to do. You got a lot of explaining to do. All right. And this is beautiful because the Lord said he would do this. He has made Esau bare. So I highly suggest that you go watch this video, in its entirety. I really don't even want to play anymore. It just gets so condemning. And it's not saying anything bad. It's just that the information is so condemning to the fraudulent narrative that has been pushed. The narrative that which you speak against can get you labeled, anti-semantics. Could get you get you canceled. All right. Just for speaking the truth. And this video goes hard. So, once again, you can see the name and the title. This is from End Time Productions. And it's called They Try to Erase This from the Internet. Then I have to correct them on one thing. The biggest secret that they try to erase, in history, even in modern history or in ancient history, is the fact that the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are indeed the two children of Zion, the two children of Israel. All right, so with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rukaha Kodash, Kwam Yasharala, Abba Babal.